ma'am, first question is, what inspired you to become a filmmaker, ma'am? Why you choose filmmaking?
I think uh, it's my surroundings and primarily the stories that I shouldn't frame it like stories, but rather the real incidents that often would not, you know, come on national or like state uh, TV news channel or like newspapers or something. So I had this knack of, I thought I'll become a journalist, and then somehow that dream didn't come true, and then I found another way to tell my stories. So documentary has been that route for me, and then I studied editing because somebody had suggested that if you uh, study editing, then you will survive well. So I think that person was wise enough to suggest me this, but yeah. So that was the key.
And ma'am, during your graduation, what did you study?
My undergrad was in English literature, and then I studied film editing in Rupkala Kendra in Calcutta.
And ma'am, how big was the film editing course?
It was a 2 year long course, and our institute is basically Cinema Film and Social Communication Institute. So it's a 2 year course for us, and 4 semester divided into 4 semesters, 6 months each.
And ma'am, there you found interest in documentaries? Or you had interest while earlier as well?
Yeah, and my interest in documentary primarily brought me to filmmaking. So, like I said, I wanted to tell stories that were, happening around me, and nobody would talk about those, and especially women and domestic violence, uh, different form of domestic violence, and you know, issues related to education. All these little things, those had a long lasting impact on me, and that's why primarily I wanted to make documentaries. So that's how I came here.
And ma'am, your parents were like, okay, you are going into film making. They supported you.
My parents, hmm, not very much, but they took some time to understand. They were supportive, but the thing is, it was something that nobody has done, not only in my family but in the entire area. We didn't know anybody who is related to this, and I come from a small small town, and I was raised in different parts of West Bengal, but my parents stayed in a small town. So there, and also the areas that I stayed and studied, never heard anybody pursuing filmmaking as their career. So initially I lied. I said that I'm doing a computer course, which was partly true. So yeah, I did. Editing is something to do with computer, right? By when we started, yeah, computer was introduced already. So I was lying. I was telling the truth, but it was a part truth.
Okay. And ma'am, how did you find your first job in film industry, ma'am?
How did I find? I think through my seniors in the institute. Initially, my initial job was actually assisting other directors. in direction, and then also I used to do editing, assist others in edit, and also assist others in um, direction. So I started doing both when towards the end of our film institute. I started doing both.
Okay. And ma'am, how the idea for I Am Boni came?
I am Bonnie. I am Bonnie was primarily um, a film that two of my friends were two of the other directors, Saurabh Kantidatta and Satrupa Satra, the co-directors of I Am Bonnie. It was their, project long back, which they didn't pursue. They wanted to make a film on Bonnie, but a fiction film. They approached to make a fiction to him, and they were also, especially Shatrupati was a fresh pass out from institute, and they couldn't pursue somehow that time. And then I was working with Saurabh Datta in one of his documentary. I was assisting somebody else in the edit, and then I was editing another project with him as an editor. And around that time, he had shared this story that they wanted to make a film on Bonnie, which never happened. So he said, I forgot also. Then one day, that time, what happened? There was another athlete called Pinky Pramanik, who's uh, who was going through, some trouble in her personal life. When her personal life became a public display, and there was a lot of chaos. Initially, to lot to do with whether to keep her in the female cell or the male cell, and all that thing was going around. And Pinky was an intersex person, and so was Bonnie. So that's the time when we found one article on another leading Bengali newspaper, and then the discussion again started. And I was already working with Saurabh Datta, so I discussed with him initially, and then we met the other director, Satrupa Satra. We met her, and they were friends, but I was introduced to her, and then we continued making this. But yeah, initially it was their plan.
And ma'am, how much time it took to make the whole documentary?
I Am Bonnie was a 4 years journey, mm, in total. It was a long journey. One, because the story was, happening. Lot of the things were happening. Some we could capture, and some we couldn't. And also, films divisions fund came much later. But before that, we were trying to invest in our own way. Saurav Datta and Satrupa Satra, both of them, they invested financially in the film, while I invested my time, a lot of time. I invested in editing, shooting, and they were also shooting and also finding out money, and also they themselves invested their own money in the film. And later, when film division fund came, that was much later. By then, already 3 years had gone, and major part of the shooting was done. So yeah, it was it was like that.
Okay. And ma'am, the most amount of time it took in shooting or ma'am editing?
We were doing both simultaneously. So I think sometimes it's an advantage having an editor in the team. And in our case, one of the director, Saurav Kantidatta, was the cinematographer and the director. Satrupa used to do. She was the director, and she did the major part of sound recording as well. And I was doing this thing, the direction and editing. So I spent a lot of time. Whenever we used to come back from the shooting, we used to go through the footage and used to make small sequences. Yeah.
And ma'am, how big was the crew?
It was four to five, 4 to 5, not much. Most of the time it was four only. Only in some cases it was five. In some cases it was even lesser than that. Sometimes it was like a person crew, and sometimes it's like up to five.
And ma'am, while making it, did you had any script or like you make the script in editing?
No, we didn't have any script. But we were not also, shooting in the dark. We were clear what is going to happen, and we were clear that what is happening, what are the things we want to capture and what we don't want to capture. So all those planning were there, but it was never scripted. Like our life, we can't script, right? So it's like we are shooting another life. How can we script it in a way that like everything will fall in place? Of course, it didn't. So but yeah, we were mentally prepared what is going to happen, and we had a kind of small notes that what we are going to shoot in this schedule, why it is important to shoot this schedule, like
And ma'am, then how the idea for Holy Rides came, ma'am? It won a national award as well.
that. Holy Rights was I mean, it's a long journey, though. We started in 2015. 15, I guess. Yeah, 15 we started shooting, but the idea was, I think, it is to do a lot with the memories that I have, the memories that were not erased all these years, the memories that still, comes back to me time to time and haunts me. So those were the primary thing for me to come in filmmaking, and this was also one of those, why I wanted to make Holy Rites. And when I decided to shoot, it was primarily on the theme that some women are getting trained to become a qazi, who will decide on Muslim personal law, the judge of Muslim personal law. So that was the starting point of it. But of course, all the layers were added later, and also that time triple talaq and the whole chaos that was happening, the political chaos that was happening that time was also included in the film. So yeah.
And ma'am, how much time it took to make the film? Like you said, you started in 2015.
2015, and we completed in 2020 March. We completed.
5 years. I
Yeah.
mean, ma'am, why documentary takes so much time? Like I've spoken to every documentary filmmaker, they have said like it takes almost around 4 or 5 years.
Um, there is. I mean, I don't have a particular reason why it takes long, but there are some things that comes to my mind. One is whether the topic you are following, the subject you are following, it needs that much time or not. One is that primarily. Second is whether you have enough, backing, in the sense, in terms of money, in terms of having a proper crew. So all whether all those are in place or not. So all these things dictate, and also your relationship with the character you are dealing with. So all these things actually dictate how much time it would take for me. But there are some films that doesn't take that long as well. If you are not shooting something which is going to develop over the years, if you are not planning that, there is always a scope. If you want to make a short doc, it won't take that long. It's a personal choice, I guess.
And ma'am, how big was the crew here?
For holy rites, most of the time it was two, and sometimes it was six as well. Mm, yeah, sometimes six, but those were not the regular one. Most of the time, especially the intimate moments that we see, and also, although we didn't compromise on as per the in terms of equipment, but there are certain times where we couldn't afford one extra person because of the need of the situation. So it's like that. But yeah, we were flexible from 2 to 6, whatever requires whenever.
And ma'am, if you can tell the budget, what was the budget of the film?
Budget. It's, I think Priyanka would be the best person. I don't know if she has ever done budgeting proper. Of course she has done in her way, but I think she's the producer. Priyanka is the producer of the film. She would be the best person to talk about it. In my case, I think until Priyanka joined, I never had a proper sheet where I maintained the account. I think I'm a horrible person. I always need a producer by my side. I'm so bad with money.
No, it's okay. And ma'am, it got premiered at Mami.
No, none of
It was
my.
shown in Mami.
No, it wasn't. So this Holy Rights had its international premiere at 53rd Hof International Film Festival in Germany. Um, and we had our world premiere in Iwat, Delhi.
And ma'am, it won a national award. Ma'am, how does it feel? Does it like awards matter?
It, if you ask me, how does it feel? I don't feel anything extra that I got something, but it feels nice when you get recognized for your hard work, when you put in so much. And since most of the documentaries don't recover the money they spent. It's like 4 or 5 years. It's just going and going, and you spend everything on that project, and not only you, your entire crew. I was so blessed to have a team of they all are my good friends, and they were such a like angel to be part in this whole journey whenever I needed. They were always there. So when something like national award comes, it's a booster for the whole team. But yeah, but do we carry that on our shoulder? No, none of us.
And ma'am, currently it is screening anywhere, like currently showing anywhere.
It's going to be screened in Bombay end of this month, and yeah, it's getting screened. Last week it was screened in Bangalore on first March. It was screened in Bangalore International Film Festival. That is over. I think still going on. Yeah, it was getting screened there. Uh, and somehow we were lucky with Holy Rights. It's till now. We had our first screening in 2020, and post that we were very morally down because the whole festival round happened in the lockdown, and we couldn't go in most of the places. We didn't go for our international premiere also. Couldn't go because of COVID. But this film is getting screened. People invite the film for screening, and it's such an honor for all of us. So we are glad that it's still getting screened in 2024.
And ma'am, currently are you shooting something right?
Now, now I'm not shooting the way I do, but I'm helping friends, as I'm also recovering from an accident, so I'm taking it slow. And yeah, I'm working on scripts, not in a feature film, yeah, fiction feature. I'm developing a script. I don't know when will I make it, but just was utilizing this time when I was resting and recovering.
And ma'am, you are a founding member of Vichitra Collective as well. So please, can you tell what's that?
So Vichitra Collective is home. You had an interview with Juhi, Vaishali. They are the founding members as well. So it's home because it's a collective that gave us a lot of space in different in different terms. It was lockdown time when it was formed during lockdown. Vaishali posted something in on BGDM's Brown Girl Stock Mafia's Facebook page, and we all were part of that group as well. And then she posted something, can we do something for Indian filmmakers? And then we all jumped in. Whoever was there, Nishta was there, Juhi was there, Prerna was there. There were a lot of women who were women and non-binary filmmakers who were part of that group. So then we formed uh, another group which were like the Indian filmmakers who were staying in India and abroad. And then we gave it a name. And initially, it started with this sustenance grant where we could support 20 filmmakers. And with this shrinking space in India, especially after PSBT and FD is also closed now. Of course, NFDC is calling for proposals and they are starting. But the old organizations that were there when we came into the industry, we used to apply for these funds. But now these are not there. So there is a huge vacuum that people needed to come in to support the documentary filmmakers. So, so in that sense, I think together through this collective, we could give funds, but funds are very, very less. But what was helpful, because the collective is, uh, you know, with the members from India and abroad, there's a larger connection that is, um, brewing up, and filmmakers are getting a wider knowledge about the industry, in not only in the industry in India but abroad as well. So that connection, that kind of guidance, and also the mentorship that we have with the fellowship for 1 year, they will get a mentor who can help them in their project in whatever aspect they want. So that is also, I think, very interesting. Something where there are many cases, like an Indian filmmaker who got paired with a filmmaker from US, and that person was getting to know what are the available funds or what are the available opportunities on the other side. The same way, the other person also getting to know about India. And of course, everybody know, I mean, the small things that is happening this part of the world, because many of them don't stay here, so they are also getting to know what is happening here. We are getting to know what is happening there. So in that way, I think it's a more than that anything, it's a knowledge sharing space for all of us. And of course, we can lean on to others whenever we want to. There's a space, we just say, hi, I'm in need, and there'll be like 15, 20 filmmakers jumped in and will say, what do you need? I'm here. So it's a space like that for us.
Wow. And ma'am, please recommend some filmmakers and films, your favorite filmmakers and films.
My favorite filmmakers in docu. You're saying, or fiction docu, both.
Both, ma'am.
I don't have a favorite in that sense, forever favorite. My thing is, if I see something, if I like something, I can continue watching it 5 times, 10 times again, and that becomes my favorite. So in that way, I don't have super favorite something, but there's a documentary. There are, I mean, not one. I like all the works of Bert Henstra. His films, Glass, Zoo. I have seen it 1,000 times, and I never get bored of it. I like Anand Patwardhan's film; those are inspiring. I also like Debolina's film. I was heavily inspired by her, and she is my mentor outside my film school. She had been a big support to me. I like her films, and especially the way she include her politics into the film, into the narrative. So those, and in fiction, Kieslowski, and who else? There are many. Bresso. Mm, who else? All the filmmakers from Middle East. I love them. Iranian filmmakers, especially. I like their works a lot. And Samira Makmal Buff is one of the filmmaker I always can go back to and watch her films again and again. So yeah, I mean there are a lot of names, but
Oh, okay. And ma'am, last question is, if somebody wants to become a filmmaker, what advice would you give them?
hmm, I think if a person is already deciding to become a filmmaker, that person has some kind of background or knowledge about it. So, but yeah, if I have to tell something, I would say that um, stay true to yourself.
Ma'am, thank you so much, ma'am. Such a pleasure to be able to talk to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me, and it
Thank you,
was
ma'am.
really nice talking.
And ma'am, it's my pleasure, ma'am.